Good morning, everybody. For anybody that may be super observant, you might notice a little something different about today's video. And that is that I am no longer in the Pacific Northwest. These are East Coast trees that we're looking at, people. So, yeah, you can probably reasonably deduce that means I decided to end my section hike early, and my last stop on the PCT for this section was at Timberline Lodge. And I wanted to just hop on to give you guys kind of an informal debrief and just kind of chat about why I made the decision that I made to end my section hike early. So buckle up because it might be a chatty one. I am here at a cute little picnic table. So I've got my tripod and some like very general notes. So I think I'm gonna set you guys down on the table and just chat away. So like I said, I decided to end my section hike at Timberline Lodge in Oregon. And just to kind of take it back to the beginning and discuss how we got to that decision, pause for airplane. Oh gosh. Back in the city, baby, what can I say? But basically, starting at the beginning, I had the initial plan to hike all of Washington and Oregon, which would have been roughly about 1,000 miles. And I had my hiking partner, Lucy, whose trail name is Power, was set to join me for the first few weeks because she had a job that she had to get back to, so she kind of had like a hard deadline of when she needed to leave the trail. And as you probably remember, if you kept up with the videos, our first few days on trail was very rough. We were off to a rough start, I'll say that. I think we were just met with a lot more snow than we were initially anticipating. And we definitely knew to expect snow, but I mean, this year in Washington was a lower snow year than average. So I think just like none of the Sobos really expected quite as much snow as we had. The issue was that it was apparently a really cold spring and none of the snow actually melted. So just a lot of snow on the ground. But after we made our first attempt at the border and had to turn around due to unsafe snow conditions, Power and I kind of made the collective decision that we were just done with the snow. And keep in mind, you guys, like, I'm born and raised in Mississippi. I've seen snow a handful of times in my life. Like, I do not have snow experience. So we decided that we were just kind of pause for airplane. This might be a recurring theme. Apologies if this video is super choppy. I'm trying to like cut out the airplane noise, but I'm very close to a major airport right now, so it's just the joys of living in a major metropolis. So sorry about that. So we just decided that we wanted to be totally done with the snow. It just was giving us a lot of anxiety and making us feel unsafe, and if those feelings can be avoided, it's like, why wouldn't we avoid it, you know? So yeah, together we decided, let's try to avoid as much snow as we possibly can. So we waited it out, did our second border attempt, and continued hiking south from there to Stehekin. And once we got to Stehekin, we knew that this is where big decisions would be made. We had heard from several people that were Sobo, that there was still a lot of snow in the section from Stehekin to Stevens Pass and southward from there. Also, another consideration that we had in mind was that the shoe fly wildfire was encroaching on the trail near Stevens Pass. At the time when we made our decision, the trail was still open. However, it was within 2 miles of Stevens Pass, so, you know, wildfires can spread very, very rapidly. So that was another consideration that we had. And we had also received news from 2 of our hiking friends that were in the section from Stehekin to Stevens that had suffered pretty serious injuries in that section. One of them required a hospital visit, the other required a helicopter off the mountain. So with all those factors in mind, we made the decision to skip down to Cascade Locks. And we chose Cascade Locks not only because we had heard that the rest of Washington still had a lot of snow in it, but we heard that near Cascade Locks, which, if you're unfamiliar, Cascade Locks is right on the Washington-Oregon border. But we had heard that there was roughly about 200 miles of trail that had very minimal snow. So we were like, that sounds like exactly what we're looking for. Let's do it. And we had also heard that there were several other Sobos that had previously made the decision to skip down to Cascade Locks. So it just seemed like kind of the logical choice to start there. And not long after we made the decision to flip down to Oregon, the section around Stehekin actually closed due to wildfires, and the citizens of Stehekin were told to evacuate. So while I obviously hate to hear that, it's very horrible and tragic, it was very validating that I felt like we had made the right decision for us. So we made our way down to Cascade Locks, which was quite the journey and quite the logistical nightmare. But once we started hiking south from there, that section of trail was so beautiful, and really I felt like I was like in the zone. I felt like I was in my element, really getting into like the hiking groove, you know. But there were a lot of things that I was taking into consideration with my hiking partner's end date quickly approaching. So because there were so many Sobos that had kind of flipped around due to the snow conditions, we were really not around any Sobos, and the Nobo bubble had not gotten to us yet, so we really just weren't seeing a lot of hikers in general. And after the really scary night that we had with another hiker on day 19, I think, I was just kind of like, yeah, I don't want to continue alone. I do think I could have. Physically, I was feeling really great, and I definitely think I could have continued alone, but if I'm being honest, and as cheesy as it sounds, I just feel like my heart wasn't in it, you know? I think I'm in a very different stage of life now than I was when I thru hiked the AT in 2022. I mean, I've got a dog at home, I've got a partner, and I've got a lot of other things that I could be prioritizing with my time and my money. So yeah, I just feel like maybe it just wasn't the time for me. And while I do feel like I had a really great experience out there overall, I do feel like I made the right decision for me to come home and cut my section hike short. I do think that I will be back out on the PCT in the future for additional section hikes. I might try to be a little bit more diligent about my window of hiking, aka if there's snow on the ground, I'm not gonna go. Lesson learned the hard way, but hey, I'm proud of myself for trying it. You know, you never know until you try. And I feel like I did absolutely learn a lot from this experience. Definitely very different from the hiking that I did on the AT. So it was a lot of fun. It was very challenging, and I'm proud of myself for sticking to what I did. I ended up taking a pretty cool trip home. Lucy and I took the Amtrak from Portland to Chicago, and then I met up with a friend in Detroit, and then flew home to the East Coast from there. So I might insert some of that at the end of this video if anybody cares to see. It was a really fun trip home. So I just wanted to say thank you all again for all your support and encouragement on this hike. It really meant a lot, and hopefully I'll be back on the PCT for another section hike in the future, and maybe Jesse will hike again. I don't know. Stay tuned. We'll see. Bye, guys.